the following episode of Death Stranding is basically going to be an audiobook. So we're reading through the files. So we're going to have some fun discussions. And we're going to talk about the files we're reading, and we're going to, reflect on what they mean. But there's not going to be a whole lot of trucking in this episode. So do bear that in mind as you continue on through this LP. Thank you very much for your patronage. Okay, so what was the thing with the interviews? Where was that? We have mail, we have data, interviews, yes?
Tips and interviews, holy moly.
That's a lot of reading. That's a lot of stuff.
Dang.
So this is where the information is, huh? Oh boy.
And some of these titles are really interesting, like Necrosis and the Egyptians' View of Life and Death, Mummies, BTs reaching out to us. Oh my god. You want to take this one?
These start to stack up if we don't handle them. So, yep, let's take care of business. Die Hard Man, Mules and Drone Syndrome. Bridges' primary objective is to rebuild America, and in order to rebuild, one of our main tasks is to reconnect cities and other settlements, reestablishing a delivery network. Back before the Death Stranding, the comms and delivery networks were what held society together. The whole thing was
automated.
Yes. Sorry, I was distracted by something for a second there. The whole thing was automated, AI managed. Sorry. Sorry, I thought first I didn't realize that you're like, oh, does he not know this word? Uh-oh.
No, I was like, is he struggling to see?
No, I am full on looking at what's happening somewhere else with our recording session and making sure that things are okay, which they currently are. Yes. All right. The whole thing was automated, AI managed, what held society together. I just read the same line again. AI managed deliveries carried out by drones. The belief was that taking people out of the equation. Oh, we already were told about this, right? Taking people out of the equation would revolutionize the entire system, but things didn't quite pan out that way. Instead, we started seeing cases of what would eventually be dubbed drone syndrome. It was too much for some folks to accept, leaving everything to the machines and nothing for the common man. And indeed, the oxytocin deficiency and hormonal imbalances we confirmed seemed to back up that assessment. Humanity needed to be part of the process, so laws were put in place, and we stepped back into the picture again. And then what happened? All the people we put out of work by machines who got called up again All people put out of work by machines who got called up again convinced themselves society couldn't survive without them, and that brought on a whole new disorder, delivery dependence syndrome, they called it.
Damn.
When the Death Stranding tore us apart, the delivery problem spiraled even further. It wasn't helped by the fact that chiral clouds prevented planes and drones from flying, which meant we had to go back to relying on completely on human couriers, whether we liked it or not. Eventually, delivering goods became all some lived for. They were obsessed, addicted, consumed by the desire to deliver. Over time, they turned into mules that we know and love today. That is some fucking nonsense, bro.
That was 2 years ago.
Talk about the need to deliver becoming a disorder is the most the world of Pokemon is all about the Pokemon. The world of Yu-Gi-Oh! Revolves around Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yep.
The world of Thing is all about the Thing. That is the most world of Thing, all about the thing I've seen in quite a bit. Where this game is about delivering, so the idea is the villains and the people are affected by their need to deliver. Oh my god.
Right, if it's all that drives your life, man,
Delivery addiction. What the fuck?
Humanity's biggest problem, logistics, 5 years ago. Bridges HQ, war and famine have been inescapable parts of human life since the rise of our species. And while the fall of America hasn't changed its fundamental truth, it's fair to say that these issues are pressing concerns. Can you remember the last time you heard of a prepper dying of starvation, much less someone in a not city? No one's fighting over water or oil or anything else, which isn't to say that people don't occasionally run out of supplies, but that's almost never because of a real shortage. It's usually a problem with logistics. In fact, it was to address such problems that the president created bridges and developed the Carol network. So yeah, no one's that desperate. Everybody's got enough for themselves, which is what's led to the real problem. It's all too easy for people to become isolated from one another, and eventually forget that others even exist. People are free to live for themselves for the moment without a care for the future. The president understood this better than anyone, and I know just how much it pained her.
The apocalypse was not so bad that we went back to basic resources being scavenged for. We all had enough food and water and the ability to survive, but we were all just bored and lonely. The biggest crime of the apocalypse is that the internet shut down, and we all got 404s.
Oh, God.
On every page.
Playing the dinosaur game
we have
on Chrome,
that's,
waiting for signal.
That's humanity's biggest issue. Alongside the fucking Death Stranding, of course. But we're all offline and we're bored and we have enough food and water to survive with, but shit sucks, dog. Damn. What am I supposed to do without my hentai? Bridge babies.
1 year ago.
Look, I'm kind of new here at Bridges. I don't know if any of this will be useful to you, so I'm happy to talk about BBs if that's what you want. They call me Dead Man on account of my familiarity with the dead. Get it? We've always been on good terms, you see. We used to have regular little chats back when I worked in the morgue. Anyway, that's the reason I work on BB maintenance and research, to learn more about those who are no longer with us. But I digress. The fact is, BBs were already being issued to our forces in the field before I joined Bridges. What's more, research into these little guys had already been conducted long ago, but no one took the plunge and put what they discovered to practical use. Still, what that did mean is that when Bridges wanted to build our own BBs, most of the work had already been done for us. We just needed to follow the instruction manual, so to speak.
Oh.
Wow. So, like the super unethical thing of using human beings in your tests and experimentation, much less like research where they can't consent because they're not fucking old enough, and the parents are like literally not alive. So like the most unethical thing in the world. But hey man, Death Stranding.
That works.
The world's fucked, so who cares about your ethics, I suppose. Get those likes. Which isn't to say we have any idea how they work, but now not how they can detect BTs or how they can connect to the world on the other side. We still have much to learn about our little friends, but one thing is certain: their continued study will lead us to greater understanding of the Stranding and life and death itself. That much I can assure you. Well, I think that's all about it I have to tell you for today. Hopefully I'll have something new to share with you next time we chew the fat. See you around, I guess. Our little friends, he says, as he fucking full-on windmill dunk contest dunks a baby into the fucking garbage. Just the incinerator is up and flaming, and he just full-on, like, from the free throw line, Jumpman 23. Jumpman 23, Guillermo del Toro, right in the trash. Our little friends, he says.
Close. All right, Heartman, 3 years ago, Bridges HQ Lab. Timefall was first recorded when the Death Stranding occurred, and despite all the years that have passed since then, we are no closer to understanding why or how it accelerates the passage of time for the objects and organism it touches, or why it immediately turns to ordinary water having done so. Some researchers have gone as far as to posit this process as stealing time. As for why timefall is observed only in certain places, all that we know for certain is that it is somehow affected by local chiral concentrations. This is merely a hunch, but something in me suspects that the Death Stranding may have warped our perception of the passage of time. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, you understand. We humans can conceive of our own deaths, and even the possibility of a place beyond death, yes? We have the capacity to conceptualize the future, an evolutionary advantage which aided our development as a species. Well, what if Time File has given us a new supercharged version of this essential ability, one that will take us to the next stage of our evolution? Perhaps we wouldn't need to hole ourselves up in the Knot Cities. Perhaps in time, the Death Stranding will come to be seen as the phenomenon that saved our species. Exciting thoughts, I'm sure you'll agree. I, for one, can't wait to set out on our journey. Who knows what awaits us?
The Death Stranding as a good thing?
Warping our perception of the passage of time.
As opposed to time itself.
Yeah.
Could Timefall be not real?
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought.
Like, it looks like it's getting older, but it's not.
Maybe it's actually just, yeah.
Huh.
But then that doesn't stop, but then you wouldn't care about, like, being exposed to rain at that point.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be real.
But it still seems like a factor. Is it just that it's creepy?
Yeah, it sounds like your hair turns gray and your skin gets old, but then if it doesn't actually do anything to you. So no, the threat must be more than just fictional. Like, but it's an interesting thought that you have out there. I don't want to start going down a rabbit hole of nonsense.
Yeah.
Now, hold my beer while we go down this rabbit hole of nonsense. Necrosis and the ancient Egyptian view of life and death. All right, I'm going to
lean in.
Yeah, because here's the thing is, like, this is kind of what the game is actually about. So understanding this stuff is going to be crucial to understanding wherever the fuck Kojima's trying to take us. So, audiobook episode.
Maybe this would be a good time to use the accessibility features on the PlayStation and zoom in on stuff.
My TV has one, I think, actually.
Oh, word.
The Egyptians believed that we humans were composed of two elements, the Ha and the Ka, the body and the soul. Various texts expound upon their nature in detail, but perhaps it is simplest to conceive of them as follows. The soul is that which joins with the child in the womb and gives life to the body. It is also that which departs the body upon death. Ergo, the body is simply a vessel. Should the soul return to it, it will live again. This is precisely what is observed in near-death experiences, a soul separated, albeit briefly, from the body. The Egyptians believed that death not to be an instantaneous change of state, but a process by which the soul moves from one realm to another. But this process itself has changed, thanks to the Death Stranding. So the Egyptians' beliefs are real, in one sense, without ever explaining it. It's like the Egyptians believed this, but now the facts have changed. Like, are we just gonna hand wave the part where we're like, hold on, wait, what? So it's real? The Ha and the Ka are real? But the process itself has changed thanks to the Death Stranding. In our normal order of things, when death occurs, the soul vacates the body. Yeah, souls are scientifically proven here. Okay. The soul vacates the body and passes into the sea. From there, it transitions to the beach, and only then onto the world of the dead. But after the Stranding, the soul that has already made its journey to the beach may attempt to return to its body in this world. It was hard to believe at first, but the process of necrosis provided proof of this phenomenon that was difficult to deny. This is why it is imperative that we burn the bodies of the dead. The body must be destroyed to sever the link with the soul. Only then will the soul be free to journey to the world.
Oh, damn. So they are preventing reanimation in a way?
They're unable to leave. They're stranded to their bodies. The connection is too real.
Yeah.
And
so burn the fucking vessel.
So that they can float away.
Wow, okay.
And the beach is a part of the process. So the beach is literally a place that, like, because they're talking about the beach as like the thing that they're also using to, like, you know, make the internet as fast and as amazing as possible. But it's actually like you gotta go there before you move beyond. It's a limbo of sorts.
Chiral symmetry. 3 years ago. The word chiral comes from the Greek chair, meaning hand. Compare your left hand with your right. They seem similar in both size and shape, right?
Fucking Pat was doing this the other day, and it was like, enough.
Now face your palms away from you and place one hand over the other. Their shapes do not overlap exactly, but place your palms together and voila, a match. It is as if one hand is the mirror image of the other. But again, if you were to compare the mirror image of your hand to itself, we would see that the two are not identical. This is the essence of chirality, the state in which the mirror image of a shape does not match the original. It has been theorized that BTs are mirror images of ourselves. Were we to exist in the same point in time and space, our shapes, as it were, would not overlap neatly onto one another, save in reflection. And when our particles meet their opposites, a void doubt occurs. The new form of communication we have devised utilizes speeches, which are akin to mirrors reflecting this world and the other, hence the term chiral network.
Stare at your hands like Hannibal does in that one gif that gets used on Twitter from the Eric Andre show, where he's just like, "What? Oh, these hands." Now you get it. Now you understand chiral symmetry. Okay, chiralium. Would you like to know more about chiralium? Well, too bad. Wouldn't we all? I'm happy to present the latest theories, but you must be aware that this isn't all that they are. This is all that they are, theories. Chiralium, like dark matter, was born along with our universe and has existed ever since, just not in a dimension that we were able to perceive, until now. It is the beach that gives us access to that dimension, and with it, the knowledge of chiralium's existence. Not just a knowledge of it, of course. We have since observed it coalescing in a crystalline form and recorded its measurable physical and mental effects on individuals exposed to it.
Damn.
It's reshaped our understanding of reality, proven an instrument in the formulation of the multiverse theory of beaches. The chiral matter is not affected by the passage of time. As far as these particles are concerned, none has elapsed since the Big Bang. Little wonder they escaped our notice for so long, until man and BT first came together in the void out and left nothing but chiralium in their wake. Little wonder that they escaped our notice for so long until man and BT first came together in the void out and left nothing but chiralium in their wake. Many of these claims are yet to be verified, but I believe that this is a fair summary of the scientific community's current consensus on the matter. No pun intended. I shall soon be heading west with the first expedition, and I will look forward to learning more about chiralium and its connections to the beach along the way.
So, it was always there, chiralium, and the only time that we were aware of it was when it merged with the living people, with the BTs and everything.
And it's unaffected by time entirely.
Yeah.
Yet somehow running Stadia on it still creates lag. Mysteries that will never be solved.
Broken on launch. There you go. Chiral contamination 1, 3 years ago. Chiral contamination is the result of prolonged exposure to chiral radiation, which is emitted by chiralium, a substance discovered at the same time as the beach. Prolonged exposure can significantly impact physical and mental health. The effects are not dissimilar from those observed in individuals exposed to extremely high levels of stress, levels which can be fatal even. Such traumatic experiences can alter hormonal secretions, impair immune response, contribute to heart failure, and induce strokes. The most common symptoms of chiral contamination is poor sleep quality due to vivid nightmares. If left unchecked, however, it can quickly progress to a more advanced stage in which the aforementioned issues may be observed. The potential impact on an individual's mental health cannot be understated. The resulting hormonal imbalances frequently lead to heightened destructive impulses towards the self and others. Those dominated by such urges are named homo demens, the mad ones. In the case of some porters, such as mules, impaired memory and judgment has led them to develop an irrational obsession with their profession, hence the homo gestalt moniker. While it should be feasible and preferable for most individuals to avoid chiral contamination at all costs, there are those with a demonstrated resistance who do not need to be so cautious. I speak, of course, of doomed sufferers. That would be us. That would be Sam, right? We have dooms.
While it would be feasible and preferable for most individuals to avoid chiral contamination at all costs, there are those with a demonstrated resistance who need not be cautious. Okay.
So, since we have dooms, it seems that we have a resistance to the chiral contamination,
and
which is equivalent to like a high stress level.
Yes, and makes people go fucking crazy. Like the Homo demens. Which, of course, stupid brain goes demons, like demons, and it's like, and it
demented.
As in dementia is the root word. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. The chiral radiation makes it so that just, anyone else that's basically anyone that doesn't have dooms that's trying to carry shit around and move throughout the world is pretty much at risk. So it makes porters extra special if they have dooms. Got it. Okay. Chiral contamination can be alleviated using similar methods to those used to alleviate stress, increasing oxytocin secretion through contact with other people. Kojima. Just hammer that point home, man. Friends are important, connections matter, bridges and strands, hands, rhymes with strands, administering smart drugs and so forth, drinking Monster. In recent years, however, a hormone dubbed lyxin, known to mitigate the effects of chiral contamination while also restoring basic physical and mental acuity, has attracted a great deal of attention from the scientific community.
If this isn't a mirror of social media right there.
Unlike oxytocin, lyxin cannot be administered externally. It is secreted within the body, but only in response to external stimuli. It is said to be the hormone principally responsible for the positive feelings that occur when one achieves a goal, enjoys success, and receives praise or gratitude, or any other form of like from a fellow human being.
That is a real thing. That is a real thing.
Okay, so I know there was totally, there was a little documentary about high school culture nowadays and how
I'm so glad to not be a high school student today.
So, like, girls on Instagram will, like, post something and then see how many likes it gets within the first 10 minutes. And if it doesn't get enough, they'll just delete it, right? And then, like, they will also, for the posts that go up, they'll make sure that all their friends, like, have to like it right away. And they will keep track of who did not like it.
Oh, my God.
And if you did not like their post, they will ask you about it and be like, what's up? What's your problem, right? Do we have beef? You didn't like my thing. And, like, it operates on this level of obsession where if you're not getting the constant stream of likes, it's not only, like, you don't get good feelings from likes. You get bad feelings from your friends not liking
ignoring
things.
Stuff.
So if they happened to be doing anything else that day, fuck that. That doesn't matter.
This is so destructive.
Yeah.
This is so destructive.
It's going full on Black Mirror with that. And, like, again, the idea that, like, I'm sorry, I was not at my... Bullshit, you weren't at your phone. What else were you doing?
Yeah.
What do you mean? You're a high school student. What else do you do? You're on your phone the whole time. What else are you fucking doing?
Check it?
You saw that post. Fuck you. But yeah, that's the whole thing, right? This is going into, like I bet you he definitely has, like, a huge lecture on, like, the hard science of this theory, but turning it into lyxin, where it just makes me go, like, so then why don't you just have a little number with a thumbs up next to it, and sometimes it'll go up, but it won't be real.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a fake like and a real like, right? Why can't you just fake it and make people feel good?
And it's really scary because, like, maybe I've spoken about this before, but you know when you have a plan, like, oh, I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. I have plans of doing this, and you talk about this plan to other people, and they go, that's really good. I hope you go through with it. Like, this is a great idea. Good on you. Mm-hmm. And your brain goes like, yeah, validation. It's almost as if I've already done the thing that I was going to do, and there is a higher percentage of chance of you dropping and not doing that thing. So if you have plans to do, keep that shit for you. Just get down, do it. Make sure that it's tangible. Don't feed off of other people's approbation.
Reggie, are you quoting my video where I'm telling people that make games to shut the fuck up?
No.
My PSA?
You did say the same. Let me give you a high five because we reach. It's smart shit being dropped. This is knowledge. Clip that.
Where'd you hear about that?
Me? Oh, a long time ago.
Okay.
A long time ago. I told Kage, not to like throw him under the bus, but every time that he would go to the gym, I'd be like, shut the fuck up, do it. Because last time you dropped out, just do it. Do it. And he was like, yeah, you're right. I should keep to it.
So
it's a long time
I first heard
coming.
about that from, there's a speech that was, a presentation that was made at South by Southwest. And I talked about that in that specific video because the core of it is essentially the same thing. If you're a person who's trying to get shit done, you have a really good idea, if you tell people about that idea, people react in such a way where they validate the idea, and yeah, you totally feel good about it. And then your motivation to continue is not as strong because you've already gotten some early likes, even though the thing is not done yet.
Yep.
Right? So you rob yourself of the motivation. And that feeling you get when you feel bad for not doing something is literally what drives people to succeed. Right? So that feeling of being like, oh, fuck, damn it, shit, this is taking so long, God, fuck, that is exactly the fuel that you need to do the thing. Don't feel bad about that fuel. Embrace it, because if you don't have that, then you're not going to want to do shit all. That's totally exactly it. Yeah, it's to the point where like I kind of wonder, I'm like, do people get sick of me telling this story? Because it matters a lot, right?
It's super important.
But it also is, and it explains why, like, I mean, I try to be, I tell people about stuff when I'm doing it, when it like benefits the situation for people to know what's up. But so much of the way like I operate, and so much of the way we used to operate, especially like old channel stuff, was like 100% with this, just like, yo, no, just do the thing. And when the results exist, it'll be sick. And then you click and you go, yo, what is that? Oh shit, I didn't know, right? But telling people about stuff in advance all the time, a lot of the time, you don't always get a benefit to that, right? Yeah. Let's say I tell like even when it comes down to LPs, right? Let's say we tell everybody exactly what the next 20 LPs are going to be, right? That pop of the moment that you hear about it the first time is not going to be there when we finally get around to that 20th one all the way down the line. It's just going to be impatience, if anything, and possibly even disappointment.
Why didn't you get around to doing it already? Like, where is it?
And not only that, but like, even though you've kind of put something out there and you're forced to stick to it, like, yeah, there's definitely like things where if it's a more creative project, like you're totally robbing yourself of the motivation. If I were to talk about not LPs, but something like Kirby lore or some other type of idea that I have for a really great project, and I started putting the ideas out there and people went, oh my God, that's hilarious, and took the ball and ran with it, then I don't have to go forward and do that stuff, Right. So it totally is something that comes down to like the shock value, the surprise, and the way we operate is really important, right? A lot of people wanted Naruto to come back. And if I just said, yeah, it's coming back any minute now, guys, actually, in a matter of days, you're going to see it soon, or the whole time, just like confirm, like it's not the same as just dropping it and there it is, and that matters. So there's a reason why I don't answer all these questions, and there's a reason why we don't always talk about stuff, because this is important. Totally makes a difference. You need that pop. For your own sake and for the project's sake, it matters, That's really interesting.
The discovery of beaches and the concept of death 3 years ago. With the discovery of the beach, the fundamental truth of death was upended. I doubt you will find many who would deny this. Alas, we can say with little confidence in any objective or scientific capacity, for our understanding of this new realm remains in its infancy and is ever evolving, much like our understanding of the universe as a whole. Perhaps the closest thing we have to a working explanation of the beach relates to the conception of a multiverse, but I digress. The beach is arguably both a concept and a reality. A discrete beach is influenced by the mind of the associated individual and therefore linked to them irrevocably. This is why we have so energetically pursued the psychological, psychoanalytical, and neuroscientific angles when attempting to create a unified theory of the Death Stranding, the beach, and the related phenomena. There was a fad a while back in which subjects underwent counseling in order to learn more about their beaches, and in so doing gain a greater understanding of the nature of death. Doomed sufferers in particular provided excellent opportunities for study. An interesting theoretical question arose during that period. If a person's beach was a product of their consciousness, might animals have beaches as well? A conundrum on the surface, perhaps, but one quickly resolved. Only human corpses undergo necrosis and become BTs, which proves somewhat conclusively that only a human can possess a beach. And yet this begs another question. If all that is required is consciousness akin to that of a human, could an AI have a beach, an android? I, for one, do not believe so. Why? Because the function of our beaches is to connect the worlds of the living and the dead. If an entity was never born, has not truly lived, and will never know death, surely it cannot have a beach. Interesting.
That is putting some massive assumption on the importance of the soul, you know. But so a beach is something that we all individually have, yet it's connected by a multiverse. So we all share the beach, but it's not the beach; it's our own beaches.
Damn.
Okay.
Overlapping beaches?
Overlapping beaches, but we all have individual ones.
Yeah.
So they're instances, but they're instances overlapping so that they're effectively the same as a town in an MMO. So it's not an instance at all. Theme explained, man. Oh boy. Back to Egypt. Egyptian mummies, pyramids, etc. At what point can it be said that a man truly understood what it meant to die? It would seem reasonable, to suggest that it was when he began to bury his dead, a practice which originated with the Neanderthals. In a way, one might say that our growing understanding of death drove our development as a species, our fear of it, our attempts to conquer it. Why it could be argued that our entire history revolves around these obsessions. Take the Great Pyramids of Egypt, or the tombs of ancient emperors of China. The more powerful the person, the bigger and grander the final resting place. Or, to posit a more radical theory, could the very concept of power and society themselves have emerged solely to facilitate the creation of such monuments, such challenges, and to the finality of death? Either way, in leaving behind something they hoped might... Either way, in leaving behind something they hoped might endure through the ages, the builders of these edifices believed that they too might live on forever. The mummies of the Egyptians are another means by which man sought to fulfill this desire to escape the finality of death. They were created that the spiritual self, the Ka, would have a physical vessel, or Ha, to which it could return. The Soku Shinbutsu, or mummified monks of Buddhism, are similar in this respect. However, the monks in question aim to transition straight from life to Buddhahood, in other words, to forego death altogether. But now that the beach has brought us into direct contact with the world beyond, our relationship with death must further evolve. The next stage in our understanding is upon us.
Damn.
Bro, doesn't matter how you feel about it. At some point, you're going to drop dead and rot in a box forever. And you know
Become
what?
food.
The rest of the world will be fine without you. Everything continues.
I'm okay with that.
Nothing will matter. It might matter a little bit for a fleck, but in the grand scheme, who gives a shit?
I'm already ready. I'm ready to go on to the other side. I'm good.
So here's the question. If you could step into a device that could like teleport you to the farthest ends of the galaxy, right? And like, and or make you experience things in places that you could never get within your lifetime, right? But it didn't teleport you, it killed you. And then it made a copy at the other end that lived on as you.
With the same age and body cell.
And knowledge.
Okay.
Right? And that Reggie could go on to explore and discover amazing things and whatever, and then come back. Right? Via a third new copy, because that thing gets killed at the other end.
Okay.
And then there's a new...
Come back and new copy.
Right? Would you be down for that?
Why not? I don't see anything like that would be... Why not?
Because you don't... it's not your consciousness. You, that you experience right now...
This is another person entirely.
Your existence comes to an end.
So my soul, my ka does not travel.
You walk into that machine and it becomes black forever. You, as you are, will never know the results. But you know that the you from the other side will continue on as you, but it's a copy of you. It's not the you that you are. So your line of consciousness ends there. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with better things happening as a result of you being the cue ball that hits the pieces and that hits the rest of the balls for the best result, but then we have to take your piece off the table?
Yo, this is some Star Trek shit.
Are you...
Yo, you beam me up. Am I the same person?
Are you able to... And that's the question, right? So there's even a fucking Star Trek episode where there's like a copy that gets like left behind on a planet of a dude because like there was something wrong, something fucked up with the transporter.
What?
And they made a second clone of somebody. And like in the end you're like, yeah, that's not you. That's another copy of you. Too bad for that guy. You know, and like that's the stuff that those episodes get into, but I don't know because I'm not fully on it. But
oh my god!
But this is the question: for selfish purposes, is it more important to you that your line of consciousness continues, or that the better result occurs in the end?
Do I have the right to die? This is basically what you're...
Are you okay with dying for a greater good?
I mean,
but you don't have to. You can just live a normal life. But would you cut your life
short? For a greater good?
You cut your life short for a greater good of the Reggie that goes and comes back.
I think, assuming that I was the only person that could do it, I would do it. You know, like we need, like in the 15th century, we needed people to go out on boats and go to where the hell.
And you don't know what's going on. You don't know.
You don't know, but you need people to do it, I think. This is discovery, this is evolution,
so
this is going
you're
further.
Okay with it?
I think I would do it.
Interesting.
Like, if you ask me, like, would you take a bullet for me, for you, I would. For some other people, I wouldn't. For you, I would.
I appreciate that.
If I have to go out...
Mortal blow. That's level 2 of the persona rank chain. So, I'll hold you to it.
Well, yeah, I would. I think I would do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am way too scared.
Yeah.
For my timeline to end. I like... Mm-mm. And I know someone else that was like, yeah, in a heartbeat, I would totally just jump in the teleporter. Fuck it. And I'm like, no.
No.
But the results that I cannot confirm, like, way too scared. Way too scared.
Just to be sure, would you take a bullet for me?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. Okay, we're good. Thank you. That's love. That's love right there. I just wanted to make sure that I was up there, like, above the bottom tier.
I thought we could move on without addressing. I thought we could just get further in the conversation.
Thanks for the love, buddy.
Create some distance.
But yeah, I think I would do it. I would go to the furthest areas of the universe and send a third clone of myself to help others. I'm gonna die. Might as well have a purpose to it.
Yeah, but what if? But you're cutting it that time in. You're cutting it off at the 30% mark.
But the potential.
But the potential. Yeah, but the potential. Yeah. You know. Well. But you will never know what it's like.
I will never know.
But also the other things that you do know about that people have later in life, like, I don't know, the big family, the grandkids, and this and that, and whatever, you will never experience that.
No.
For the idea that maybe something better might come from it.
Let's do it.
It's noble. That's noble. I gotta say, that's sure. Yeah. Sure. You have that's the soldier mentality. You know? You gotta have a little bit of that.
But it has to be for a good reason.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I will not blindly go to war. Bref.
To die, to sleep perchance to dream. But there's the rub for in that sleep what dreams may come. right? That's the deal.
All right.
No dreams whatsoever, actually. Life begins at the oceans, and it is evolved. And as it evolved, it graduated to the land. At least this is what we believed until recently. To creatures of the sea, the land is a harsh and unforgiving place. Given this, what could possibly have compelled these organisms to make such a drastic transition? Consider the fossils of the first fish. Consider that fossils of the first fish to adapt themselves to land have been found in regions with unusually large tidal range. Could it be that these creatures developed legs in order to swiftly return to the safety of the sea when stranded?
Damn. Damn.
Okay. The yellow highlighted text is a direct connection to Koji Brain, right? Whenever you see a highlighted piece in yellow, this is something Kojima thought to himself sitting at a table in a coffee shop somewhere over the last 5 to 10 years, right?
Or just in the shower, like, oh.
Let's drop a wiki article, and the reason why this is even dropped is because of a shower thought. Right there, right? Could their evolutionary leap have been triggered by this traumatic experience? If so, could similar circumstances have shaped the evolution of the coral-like organisms that inhabit the seam and driven them to develop an ability to live between life and death, between the timelessness? Coral is, after all, older than any organism on land, and hardly enough to have weathered, and hardy enough to have weathered the mass extinction of 540 million years ago. And it is a life form upon which many other organisms rely for survival. Bearing all this in mind, one could argue that the ability to survive in the seam is indicative of a profound evolutionary leap.
Trauma causing evolution.
And the desire to return to the safety of the sea, not unlike a baby to the safety of the womb. It's all connected. There's a connection.
Wow, okay. Deep words.
Or, basically, Kojima could be putting forth that the entire evolution and history of mankind is based on a back down. On extreme cowardice. You got those legs so that you could back down? You thought it was about advancing forward bravely?
You wanted to run away, and you just fucking pop these things from under you. You weak fish motherfucker. You fucking weak fin rejecting piece of crap.
Our entire history is that of cowardice and Johns. A history of cowardice. What?
Revolting.
Wow.
I spit on humankind.
Wow. The fucking pussies we are.
That's right. BTs are reaching out to us 3 years ago. 2.4 million years ago, Homo habilis started to craft stone tools. Hands are so very important, don't you think? Our other sensory organs.
Overrated.
All right. Don't even need thumbs, whatever. Our other sensory organs passively interpret data. Our eyes light, our ears sound, our noses smell, our mouths taste. But hands are different. To touch requires conscious action, to grasp more so. To connect that which is in our left hand with that which is in our right, still more. And the handprints we see when BTs seek out humans? Why, I'd say that's just evidence of our otherworldly friends yearning to forge a connection. They're reaching out to us, attempting to bridge the gap between the realm of the dead and that of the living.
The BTs are reaching out to us.
Yeah.
That's why they're handprints that appear in the ground.
Right next to us, yeah.
Bro, it's all going back to that Hannibal gif. It all goes back to the gif. Just, the chiral network.
Mama.
So the core infrastructure is complete. The basic Cupid ready chiral network setup is good to go. Now all we need to do is connect Central Knot City to the capital to prove that it actually works. Sadly, I won't be here to see it. I've been assigned to the expedition team's second group, so I'll be heading west with the others. But the people in charge here are the best of the best. They'll have the network operational inside of 3 years, just as planned. Sure of it. And while they're seeing to that, we'll be visiting towns and whatnot across the country and putting the facilities in place when things are finally up and running. Amelie and the others are in the lead group will be forging the connections and laying groundwork to make sure everything goes to plan. Afterwards, we'll just need to link up with the operational Cupids, and that should be that. Ha! It's kind of like the Apollo missions back in the day. They used a 3-stage rocket to get to the moon, right? Well, we're using a 3-stage process to do something almost as revolutionary. Okay, so Heartman is all the super fucking shower thoughts. Everything this guy has to say is question marks, right? Question marks that Koji himself are putting forth to
Questions, hypotheses.
Yeah, Mom is just relaying what is. And then we've got Fragile.
Cryptobiotes. 2 years ago, we call these bugs cryptobiotes. They were recorded in reference books and databases back before the Death Stranding, but nobody ever thought to give them a proper classification. So cryptobiotes they stayed.
Dude, they are ladybugs. They're bugs.
They're named for the process of cryptobiosis, which means hidden life. When environmental conditions get too harsh or resources too scarce, cryptobiotes can shut down their metabolic processes and enter an almost death-like state in order to survive. Tardigrades, or water
I was
bears,
about to talk about the tardigrades.
Yep.
As soon as you were finished this, I was going to say, bro, we just need to turn into tardigrades.
That's right.
Survive in space.
Then water bears and sleeping chironomids are capable of this too, but cryptobiotes are on a whole other level. They can survive anything and anywhere, even on the beach or in the seam. And they aren't capable of prolonging only their own lives. Humans who eat them acquire a limited resistance to timefall too. Whoa, weird. You won't find them lying around just anywhere though. You need to know where to look. Not many people even knew they existed until recently. So next to no research has been done. But now that their beneficial properties have been recognized, I'm willing to bet that they'll play an important role in helping us understand the beach, the Death Stranding, and everything else.
Wow. Eat the bugs to resist the timefall. The fuck is that about?
And these bugs are immune.
Maybe it's Kojima making reference to how everyone wants to put stuff in their mouths as a kid. You use your hands to reach out and everything's oral fixated. Maybe.
Yeah. Calm down with these hand movements there.
Shoutouts to fictional bugs in video games, like in Monster Hunter. There's literally scout flies, which are like fireflies that kind of...
Oh, they light the path?
They light the path and they help you track to monsters.
Yeah.
And it's literally just a tracking system, except instead of using arrows, they use in-world bugs to explain how the path works and why. It's a pretty cool thing. That's fun when you come up with stuff like that. And then we have Bridges staff 2 years ago, distribution center west of Capital Knot City.
Yeah, got this?
Vigor Wasp, that's what they're called. Yeah, thank you. It's been a while. It's been about a year since we came here and with the rear guard. The first folks that... let me just fucking... Sorry. Alright, now you're in the range of my divinity. It's been about a year since we came here with the rear guard. The first folks did us the favor of setting up the chiral relay and patching things up before we arrived. So we're doing alright. Not so sure about everyone else though. Folks back home sound kind of freaked out. We don't know what's going on in Central or Capital, let alone how Amélie and the others who kept heading west are doing. But something doesn't feel right. What's more, a lot of the guys have developed some kind of agoraphobia. Like the thought alone of going outside scares the shit out of them. See, the distro centers and way stations around these parts here aren't all like the ones back east. They're much more isolated, out in the middle of nowhere. Can't help but feel cut off from the world. and there's not a lot of stuff on hand neither, which means you often have to do the work of two guys, which can make it that much lonelier too. And when you factor in the terrorism rumors, also, is it just me or does it feel like there's more mules out there these days? Don't get me wrong, I know they're not out to get us. All they want is our cargo, right? Well, that doesn't change the fact that they're not making our work any easier, especially since a lot of these guys used to be first-rate porters and could run rings around us if they hadn't, you know. Still, for now, the network systems are up and running. We're just holding out for the day that a second expedition comes through with a working Cupid. Until then, we'll keep things chugging along. Not much we can do for bridges and country. Am I right?
For the country.
Bro, in a world where you don't want to go outside, you don't want to be connected to other people, but the outside itself is lonely. Porting is the loneliest thing you can do. Yeah. Sam Porter Bridges is the ultimate hikikomori.
Yep.
And the outside world is his apartment. The empty, barren wasteland is the loneliest, most isolated place you can go.
Leave food on the floor near my door.
Oh my God. Take my garbage out, Mom. Yeah. That's one of those funny, interesting ones because it's like there's always been like shut-ins and hermits and people that like, you know, don't want to fucking leave the small space they're in.
Yep.
But like that one developed into such a specific Japanese way due to things in society, and it's almost like it's almost like, you know how learned behavior is a thing, like in the sense that like you kind of have to learn about this idea. It has to be put out into your thought before it becomes something that you're gonna fall into. Like that, like it's
like
that,
you might not have done it if you have never like
seen the experience or
conceptualized
it. Exactly, right? So it's like that's what they have, right? Whereas like North America has like the idea, the conceptualized idea of like shootings, for example. It's not something that is occurring until someone does it, and then other people go, "Oh, I can go do that." Right? Whenever they're having their breakdown. It's fascinating how these like types of things can happen super localized to one country or to one area or one continent in a lot of ways, because it's like it just shows you how like we are such creatures of like follow fashion. You know what I mean? Like examples need to be made before we fully like internalize it, and then once we do, it becomes an automatic place we can go unwillingly, simply because the example has been put into the ether. But before anyone created an anthropomorphic character or drew anything remotely resembling a cartoon animal, what the fuck was a furry?
Yeah.
These are the questions. Will Kojima answer them? Time will tell. What is a furry? Death Stranding.